Hello and welcome to Mousecast. That's right, wake up! It's Mousecast time, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. Hey, there's a hawk behind that mug there. What do you know? Hey, we have made it to show 125, and so we are very proud that you are here with us as we have, crossed another milestone here at Mousecast, and we're back with.
We have now made $1.25.
We've made $1.25. That's right. We
Literally
have made $1.25. That's right. We have. So it is back to Matt tonight, and it's Matt's musings. But before we think about what Matt and his evil little genius mind is thinking about, what's going on, Hawk and Megan? Welcome.
Glad to be here. I'm headed off to another country tomorrow. I'm going to go hang out at Mexico for a few, the real Mexico, not the one in Epcot, for a few days. And, I'll be back in time for game night next week. But
all right, fancy
if she comes back.
Are you going to another all-inclusive?
I am. Adults only, so totally 100% kid-free for 3 days.
Hawk, I thought you were taking care of the kids for her while she was gone.
Are you high?
That's a pretty fair reaction if I was somebody to take care of my children.
I am an 18, 26, and almost 30-year-old. So, come on.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm ready for any of the younger kid days
4
either.
and 5 again? Woohoo! Matt, isn't it just so much fun?
Look, my youngest just got her master's degree finished with her master's degree last weekend. So,
Congratulations to her.
Yeah,
our youngest managed to finish high school. I'm just happy that. I'm happy she managed to finish high school, and I'm not a grandfather. That was my, I was aiming high on that one.
There we go. And congrats to all the graduates that are out there. If you've already gotten your diploma, congratulations. Some of you, depending on when you're listening to this, it may be coming up in the next couple of weeks. So congratulations to you. So Matt, how are you? And what are you musing about tonight?
Ooh. Well, right now I'm a little hot and I'm a little itchy. But outside of that, what I'm thinking about tonight, we're going to continue that little mini-series we've been working on as far as rearranging the parks. And we're heading over to Epcot tonight and how we would kind of rearrange Epcot to make it flow a little bit better, in our opinion. So I figured we'd start right out the front gate, right into Future World, right past Spaceship Earth, and head over to the right, over to the seas.
Oh,
this
boy.
This is going to be a weird one, Matt. This is going to be a weird one because if there is a park that is, in my opinion, as close to laid out as the way it should be, I would say it's Epcot, right? It's very strategically well done. And because of the IP that's been brought in, the continuity factor that's a factor in other parks isn't really as much of a factor in Epcot. And I think this is going to be an interesting topic.
Yeah, I agree with you because at first when I started to think about this, I'm going, well, what am I going to do to Epcot? There's not really much to do to Epcot. Others may change. Others may be looking at this differently. Megan, I'm looking at you. You're the one that went and said, hey, let's mess with the Magic Kingdom. We're just going to toss out all of Frontierland, just get rid of the whole land. So,
Don't need it.
There you go. So, all right. So, Matt, you know what? This is your musings. We'll let you start. So what are you doing to the seas?
So what I'm doing is I'm giving Nemo a little refurb. I need to change that story a little bit. It's kind of old. I'd like to see something like the aerial ride with some animatronics in it, preferably. But the segue right into between the reef with all the sea life, Turtle Talk with Crush, and all that other stuff. I think it's a great gateway into that. So I didn't really touch anything over there other than I thought Nemo needed just a new story because it's a little stale.
All right. Hawk, what would you do?
Bring a tsunami in and wipe that place out. The reality, Nemo was a great concept, I agree with that. I think it should have been a much more interactive experience if you're going to bring it into that level. I mean, I miss the living with the seas concept where it was education based and really focused on teaching and learning. I think they kind of work back to that. I think some of the future of the original was based in education and sharing. But although living with the land still has a little bit of that got pulled out of the aquarium area, the living seas area. You just kind of walk through. There's not a lot going on. You don't see a lot. You're not actually learning a lot. I would like to see that come back with more of an educational thing. But they need to update that area big time. Like it just feels old. It feels stale. I think newer newer glass for the tanks. The tanks themselves, technology has come so far with how you can do the enclosures and everything else. I really think they should almost wipe it out and start from scratch, bringing stuff back, but more in that environmental aspect. More, they used to do a lot of work with SeaWorld early on, even with rescue. I know they still do a little bit with the manatees. The Dolphins haven't been in there for a while now. There's, I just think that they need to, yeah, yep, go
Yeah,
back
Mark
to,
says
yeah,
lose the ECA and go back to aquarium view.
yep,
And so
I would agree. And I just think there's more to benefit, like as a kid, I remember going there and talking to cast members and talking to some of the divers and trainers, and I learned so much. I mean, I really left there just feeling like I had gone to school in a sense, but actually enjoyed it. And it wasn't like sitting in a classroom when you can hands on. And I think that's some of the stuff that's lacking now. I mean, look at what kids are doing. 90% of the time they're at Disney. They're on their phones. They're on an iPad. They're not even paying attention to the stuff that the parents are trying to get them to pay attention to. And I think there's an opportunity to bring engagement back to kids and through the years. Like you've got to not just focus on wowing 4 and 5 year olds seeing a manatee for the first time or a dolphin or a sea turtle. You got to focus on educating teenagers about what they're doing at the beach and how it's affecting things and just have a little more focus. Turtle Talk with Crush tries to do a little bit of that and interact some of the knowledge and stuff, but I just think it needs a real big revamp in the seas. I think it needs a, a tsunami and a wash up and a rebuild.
all right, Megan.
I pretty much agree with Hawk. I feel like one of the things that, as I was thinking about Future World, just in general, is that loss of the innovations sections where you did have that technology, the updated technology, the learning, the interaction that you still see a little bit of over at Figment, except without cast members there to kind of moderate and to make that happen. It kind of falls apart over there a little bit too. But something where you would have interactive um, stations or something where and at the land, when they take you through living with the land, they talk a little bit about what the scientists and the people and the cast members are doing over there. Do something like that over at the seas. What do those cast members do? Again, talking about the teenagers, like introduce them to careers and lives they could have at Disney or SeaWorld or wherever if they continue on in school and they go and they study marine biology or the ecosystem, just whatever that is. There's so much you could do there. My kids, they're little, they love science. Do some sort of tiny experimentation system center with the ocean and the way that all of it all of that works. I think that's great. They've got the little play area, but it's very tiny. It's not, it's just kind of there. It very much feels like you get off that ride or you come out of Turtle Talk and you're in a mall that's got all its stores closing down. That's what it feels like in there, outside
Mm-hmm.
of those two attractions. And it's just a very sad little corner of Epcot, which is disappointing.
Yeah, I kind of went a whole different direction here. I kind of said, all right, well, if we're going to do Nemo, we're going to double down. Actually, we're going to triple down on Nemo. So I am heading over to Animal Kingdom, and I'm grabbing Nemo the Musical, and it's coming on over to the Seas Pavilion.
Matt
and so we're going to...
objects.
What's that?
Matt objects. I'm seeing lots of...
Yeah, Matt's shaking his head. He didn't like it. But
When I took Indiana Jones from Hollywood Studios and replaced Nemo and Friends, the show there, I sent it out on the cruise line. So that's just not part of Walt Disney World.
Well, I
anymore.
brought it back from the cruise line, and so it's over now at Epcot. But wait, there's more. I am
How
going...
can there be more than that?
Oh, but there can be. I am going, as I said, the Seas is going to quadruple in space. We have unlimited budget. We have unlimited space. We can do whatever we want. I am going to the Disney Studios, and I'm talking about the Disney Studios over next to Disneyland Paris, and I'm grabbing Crush's coaster, and I am bringing it over into the Seas. Mark Sonnenberg says, by the way, at the Denver Aquarium, you can pilot remote control submersible, do something like the Jungle Cruise remote control boats, but with submersibles. That would be really cool as long as you did it in an enclosed space, something away from the animals. But that would be actually really cool. Pilot your own sub. I love that idea, Mark. That's really cool. Maybe actually, you know what? You use that in the pools, the little pond areas there.
Mark,
outside.
what would be really cool is if you could put your kids in it and run it around the tank for a couple hours and just breathe a sigh of relief while they could get the minor dose of, if you ever did experience 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea on a hot July day, there was a pungent odor that is just unforgettable in that ride. So you can make your kids endure that for a couple hours while you pilot them around. And if we're doing that, we need to have a margarita bar lined up at the edge of the tank that we could have some cocktails and submersible children. It sounds
So,
fun.
you know, Hawk, it's funny you brought up 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, because guess what?
Submersible children. I'm going to remember
I'm bringing 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea to the Seas Pavilion, but not the 20,000 Leagues you're thinking of. I am bringing the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea from Tokyo Disney Sea attraction to the Seas Pavilion over at Epcot. It is
So
an
you're gonna
amazing
take
attraction.
2 other Disney parks and bring them to Disney World that are
Not the
already
park, but the
existing.
attractions from those
Those
parks.
attractions. Okay.
Those, the attractions from the park. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I've been there. It is awesome. It is an amazing iteration of 20,000 Leagues. No water necessary. It's a great dark ride. So, bringing three things over to the Seas Pavilion. Finding Nemo the Musical, Crush's Coaster from Disney Studios Paris, and then also 20,000 Leagues from Tokyo Disney Sea. So I'm making a lot of changes to the Seas Pavilion.
That's interesting.
All right, Matt, lead us on.
All right. So just outside of that area, I believe, is the Journey of Water with the Moana theme walkthrough. I'm leaving that where it is. I thought about moving it over, but I thought of something different. So we're going to hand over to the land.
Although we will note, Megan, I think you were one that moved it, didn't you?
I moved it to
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom, maybe?
Animal Kingdom.
No, I think you brought it to Magic Kingdom.
Maybe I brought it. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't done Animal
Either
Kingdom
way.
yet, so
Either way,
I thought you
moved
brought
out
it.
of the
You
way.
moved it somewhere.
I moved it
We
because
can't
I
even
want.
remember our own shows, people, so don't mind us. We're just all senile. But we're all on meds.
Here's the thing.
We're drinking coffee to wake up for the
But-
show. Like we're struggling after a work day. Getting
But I
old is
moved
not
it.
easy.
I moved it for a reason because I want the Fountain of Nations back. I want my fountain. I want my music. I want it all back.
I'm with you there.
I want my fountain back, and I'm willing to get rid of Moana to make some space to bring my fountain back. That's what I
I
want.
want my fountain back.
That's all I want. Like they ruined. That was totally my you're at Epcot moment is when you walk underneath Spaceship Earth, you come out and there's the fountain and the music playing, and now it's gone, and I'm not okay. But it's,
Yeah, I don't blame you. And by the way, folks, as we are talking about previous shows, in episode 108, you go back to the Mousecast archive. Episode 108, we reorganized the Magic Kingdom, and on episode 112, we reorganized Disney's Hollywood Studios. So those are, if you're hearing us talk about referencing when we did previous, those are the 2 shows previously that we did. So I'm not messing with Journey of Water. Personally, Hawk, or Matt, are you messing with it? I think, Matt, you said you weren't. Hawk, are you messing with it at all?
I'd take it out. I'm not. It was a neat thing for a week. I don't know. It was. I was not overwhelmed with it, and I think it's a lot of space, and just I don't think it's the most wow factor attraction.
I think again they could have more like the education piece is there, but you got to do a lot of reading. For kids, that's hard. So you're missing some of that. I see it as like a water play place for those of us with small kids, because I can wander through. My kids can play in there for a long time, and I can just chill.
But if that was the goal, I would widen that out and spread it out, because it is very tight walking.
It is very tight.
It's not like, if that's the principle you want to do, then wipe it out, expand it, and make the stuff around the edge of an open area, instead of doing it like a walkway through water where you can't really experience everything because it's generally too crowded. You'd have to stand and wait in order to do it, which I understand is part of the Disney culture. I'm not. I think, to Megan's point, the fountain was just beautiful. You walked in and it was in front of you. You could see a show there. You could hear the music. It was just an enjoyable experience. And I understand that they wanted to make something a little more interactive, but I just think the placement's off. I don't think it's the right way of doing it. And honestly, like, if I want to, I understand they make the little splash zones in different areas and the splash pads, and you can walk around at different parks, and it's Florida, and they want you to be able to have a moment to cool down. But come on, like that, that's too cramped in there. I don't want to be bumping people and then getting wet and running through. No, gone.
All right, so it's out of here. And so with that,
with the tsunami.
So with that, we're wiping our way over to the land pavilion. So Matt, what have you got going on at the land?
So the land is kind of interesting. So I'm getting rid of the little video show, whatever. That's just gone. I feel like that's just useless.
The
just
film.
a nice place to, yeah, it's just a nice place to maybe get some AC, maybe a quick nap. Outside of that, to me, it serves no purpose. So I'm getting rid of Garden Grill, and I'm moving the land, and I'm moving it to where
wait a minute. You're moving what? Garden Grill? Is. Or you're moving the entire land pavilion?
No, not the entire land pavilion, just Garden Grill and living with the land. I'm going to move it over to the Wonders of Life pavilion where that was, because that's just basically empty space. I'll expand that because I don't think it'll be fit enough. Will fit both very comfortably, so I'm going to expand that area. I'm going to move the land, give it its own attraction, its own building, put Garden Grill back on top where it usually is, towards the front of the park. And I'm actually going to expand Soaring and make it one big building. But I'm going to have different adventures you can do. So right now it's just the one adventure that's going to be changing over to Soaring Across America, I believe. So we're going to have different variations. We might keep the American one, but we could do something like over Europe, over Asia, over Australia, different adventures you can go on, pick and choose and stuff like that.
You know what?
All in that one building.
You could do Soarin', a version of Soarin' for each of the countries that's in Epcot.
You could do it that way too.
That could be interesting.
Their own country's version, and if you were there to celebrate and take pride and like really represent your country, you could watch your soaring version, and then also be able to experience the country itself. There you go. Mm-hmm. You could have that's interesting.
Anything else over for land, Matt?
No, that's it. It just becomes Soarin' just gets its own building with different variations, and I'm moving Living with the Land and Garden Grill over to its own building.
So you make the land pavilion the air pavilion, and then create a new land pavilion.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So you're adding another
air, sea, and land.
So if we wiped out Moana and made it a fire, you could have fire, land, and water right there in
Yeah,
that.
see?
Right.
All the
There you
elements
go.
right there.
Yeah.
All right, Hawk, what are you doing?
So we were talking about some stuff on another podcast the other night, and our friend Matt that does Married to a Disney Addict. And we were having a conversation about redoing some things and refurbing some things. And one of the things that came up was that theater, obviously, and Living with the Land. Now, to me, this is going to get ahead of one of the areas we'll discuss, but over by Figment is that current movie theater where they show the shorts. And it really doesn't make sense where it's located. It doesn't really vibe in that area. It doesn't work. I think there's much better things you could do. So I'd actually pull those short films and put them in the theater that's currently in the land. And I'd also set that up almost like Sci-Fi Drive-In, where it was cafeteria seating. So instead of it being necessarily a ride or a theater where you just go in and sit for 20 minutes, you grab your snacks, you grab your quick service, you go in, you sit down in front of a movie, you can watch the shorts for a little bit and relax, get some AC, kind of a little place to break, and then people can move out of there. I would not touch Garden Grills. That is sacrilege. Sacrilege, sir. Sacrilege. But
I kept them together with Living with the Land. Like, essentially, those two are going hand in hand, I feel like, so I kept them together.
I'm just kidding. But
Well, we know how Hawk is with rotating things because Carousel of Progress also is his favorite. As well.
Yeah,
so
chance
another rotating thing.
double hockey sticks. But
Tom, I got it in for you, buddy.
The reality is, I think that theater, it has some potential to be used and just changed, just modernized. There's never enough space to sit down anymore. I mean, the jokes in Epcot are hilarious about like everything's a trash can's a picnic table. They need to put tabletops on top of the trash cans in Epcot. Like, I think Walt would have already done that by now if he was still around, to be honest. But that theater gets revamped. I like your idea of different Soarin' events in theaters. I don't know how that would work. Like
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Popularity would be, that would be a little different. But I do like the idea of it in a perfect world. I wouldn't really change too much in there. The one thing I would change, though, that restaurant that's quick service down there, that's staying open till park close. Like, I am so tired of going in there at 6 p.m. and they're wrapping up and you can't get food.
Well,
and
they're
then you
wrapping
have to walk
before then.
halfway across the park to go somewhere else. I understand Connections opening really slowed that down. Like it did. They're not.
I know, but it's still needed.
But they need to keep that open until closed. If you want to drop a line down, that's fine. But let's keep the restaurant and food available. I can't
Here.
when they're rolling up carpets at 6 p.m.
No, I absolutely all the way. So, all right, Megan, what are you doing with land?
I'm keeping it pretty simple over at the land. I didn't have a solution for the theater, so I just left it there because I couldn't think of anything that I'd shove in that corner. I miss a little bit of Timon and Pumbaa doing their food, whatever it was back in the day. Sunshine Seasons, I don't remember everything that was offered down there food-wise, but I would take the current menu and bump it back to like the 1990s. The food, I've not been impressed in the last 10 years by anything at Sunshine Seasons. And then other than that, I think I would just do a redecorate of like that entire building. It again, just like the Seas, it feels like a mall. You got the elevator in the middle, you got the food court at the bottom. Like, I am not at home in a mall in the 90s. Make it look like Disney World. It doesn't look like Disney World in there.
Epcot in the 80s.
Sad. I find that sad. Like the hot air balloons or whatever are coming down from the ceiling. I loved those as a kid, but I loved them as a kid. Maybe we could update it. I don't know, like change something about the way that thing looks. Those were the only things I was going to do. Keep it fairly simple.
Yeah, I wasn't doing a whole lot with the land, but I was going to address the Soarin' thing, and I had two ideas for Soarin'. So idea number one, and I love the idea of, okay, kind of like a Star Tours that you have different bits. And it could be, actually, there's 3 now. You could do it like a Star Tours where there are certain segments, and so you have a first act, second act, and third act, and each one is randomized, very similar to what Star Tours does now. That might be a little tricky to pull off. Option number 2 is that you do the old Horizons ending, and it's everybody vote for which one you want before you go in, and that's part of the pre-show, and then majority rules, and that's the show you get. Or option number 3 is you just have it timers, and so, from park opening till 10 a.m. we're doing this. From 10 a.m. to noon we'll do this. So those are a couple of different ways you could do that.
I think one of the things, that people love about Soarin' is going to smell that certain smell that's in a video, right? Like it's one of the things. So I think it would be very tricky to start to step away from what people are expecting in the shows. But there's 4 variations now? 4 variations, I think.
There's the original California, there's Soarin' Around the World, and now there's Soarin' Across America.
Yeah,
Plus, you do have specialized endings in Paris, Tokyo, and I think Shanghai, maybe.
So 3 different variations. So you put one of those in each of the theaters, and people can line up and go to the one they want.
That's another option too. Yeah.
I mean that type of thing would work. I just think it is cool to. If you've been to Disney, I know people are excited about coming to see Soarin' Across America for the new one, but if you've been to Disney a lot, this is one of the things that stagnates as a local is you don't find yourself doing a lot of those things that I used to do all the time when I came down because it's not the same. It's just, or it is the same rather. It's too much the same. And
Nick says he feels like the smells aren't as strong as they used to be. Yeah, like the orange groves. So Nick kind of agrees. So okay. So let's move over to any messing with Journey into Imagination at all.
And don't worry, Nick. The smells get stronger in July and August.
Not the right smells, but anyway. Anyway, I'm going to start this off while everybody else is trying to regain their composure now. Thanks, Hawk. I'm not doing a ton to Journey into Imagination other than I'm blowing the whole thing out and starting from scratch and bringing back the original Journey into Imagination, bringing back Dreamfinder. Ladies and gentlemen, Dreamfinder is back. You should have been back a long time ago. I'm bringing back Dreamfinder and the original full show. Mark Sarnberg says nose blind, and Rick says a Brian classic right there, so, or a Hawk classic as he says. So yeah. Alrighty. Megan, what are you doing to Imagination? Nope, you're muted.
I'm doing a little bit of a blowout over there because I took the Pixar Fest and moved it over to Hollywood Studios, if I remember correctly. And so I have that space there. I would love to see them take the space that you exit in, and there's a little bit of like the 5 senses, and really do an entire section where you leave that ride and then it's all about the 5 senses. And again, for me, Epcot is about, you need more cast members because you really need more hands-on exhibits and features and experiences, especially in Future World, like there used to be. And I would love to see, for guests to be able to go through and like do exhibits and interactive things that have to do with hearing, which we have. There's some music stuff in there now, but like with smell and with taste and with touch and all the, just really go all in on the 5 senses. Like, and again, the learning piece there and the experiences, and not just, it's very much just kind of this walk-through space. You kind of glance at the different things as you walk by, but they're not nearly as entertaining as they used to be. And they don't grab as many people's attention. And they really could, and they should. We used to stand in crowds in the Innovations Building waiting to get to all of these different exhibits where we got to do stuff and hands-on, and it was great. And that was one of the great things about Epcot, and they took all that away. And so I think the Journey to Imagination is the place where we can bring some of that back.
Megan, you know what's funny, though, when you really think about it? They really didn't take that much away. This took it away.
Yeah. But Disney could have...
Kids would rather stand and play with their own phone now then go experience something.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a sad reality. Like, this is a challenge that all parks are at. And I mean, I guess people argue that, Disney made everything go onto an app and it burns their phone battery and everything else. Maybe they're trying to drown you down to nothing so you actually spend time with your family. Like, like maybe there's a bigger purpose behind it. And I don't think that's the case, but it is sad that the way technology has evolved, kids don't look at the same things as the way Chuck and I's generation did, or even your generation. Our kids now have a totally different viewpoint of stuff. They're not interested in a lot of that hands-on stuff. They would rather just do it here. And that's a challenge that like these parks are facing is how do you create a family environment sometimes, because this is so much more challenging than people realize, because the wow factor that you have to be able to generate now to get people talking about it and impressed is just at such a high level that it's almost unattainable even for these theme parks. Like, there is such a high expectation, and this is where Disney has been criticized of under delivering over the last few years, because it's like they overpromise. Get back to under promising, over deliver. Like, I do think that's a big shift that has to happen. Like, be more realistic. But the Journey to Imagination, anyone that says that ride doesn't need to go as currently constituted, the only good thing about that ride is I can pass gas and get away with it in one section. So, like, if I need to, I'm riding Figment. Yes, that wasn't Disney, people. That was me.
Thank you, Hawk. Okay,
Let's make
moving
my life
on.
choices here.
Boy, okay.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Matt. I don't know
What's next?
how you finish that off, buddy. But
It's gonna be hard to beat, but Megan stole my thunder because I was doing the same exact thing.
I think I stole your thunder.
No. Good night, everybody. We're
I
done.
just remembered a previous engagement I have to log off and go to now.
all right, folks, you can remember this is the time where Mousecast finally went off the rails. We finally got off the rails. All right. So yeah, Matt, you were going to do the same thing.
Yeah, moving the Pixar shorts over to Hollywood
Yeah.
Studios, put it over by the Pixar area, and I was gonna revamp the Figment ride and move all the interaction stuff over into that area to make it more interactive, like Megan said. So I have that's stole my thunder.
Yeah, Nick Hawk. Nick wants to know what's in your mug. Really, maybe we don't want to know.
Mushroom coffee. Sorry to
There
disappoint
you go.
him.
Yeah, but the other thing that I was thinking about, over for the theater, and for those who are running, this is the old Captain EO theater and things like that. This could be another place that could get used, similar to what Hawk was talking about. But I wanted to do something a little bit different and do something like a D23 lounge, where you have D23 members can come in for similar to a pass holder lounge that they're doing right now, but a slight snack. You could also have the shorts running or something like that, but this might be a place to recognize some of your D23 folks that are gold members or everything like that. So that's an option.
To your point with that, Chuck, that is something that I do feel Disney has lacked in the last few years that they used to be very good at. The rewards and perks for the loyal customer, the loyal guest, the annual pass holder, the DVC member, the D23 member. I mean, they used to have the Tables of Wonderland, which was a great program. Those recognition programs have kind of fallen by the wayside. And as my daughter and I found out this past weekend over on the dark side, it is not cheap. Like, we're annual pass holders, so we usually kind of go in and do things and, go for a couple hours and leave. And it was very weird to go back to doing an open to close day, being there first thing and staying all the way to the end of the day, and then realizing what you had to pay to do just one day with two people. When I looked at that price tag on my credit card bill, I was like, ouch. And, there's not a lot of reward for pass holders anymore. It's not the deal that it used to be. And
You don't
we
like
just-
your magnet there?
no, I love that. I actually love the magnets, and I do think
They're nice.
we get some good discounts. But it's not what it was when we first signed up. And for the amount of money that you're paying now, because since the first year we've joined, the cost of passes for the level we have has quintupled. Literally, it's 5 times more than it was the first year we bought a pass in 2017. We were not buying passes all that long ago. It hasn't even been a decade. And when you think about that kind of price hike, there needs to be some appreciation back to people that are spending that kind of money. And I do feel like Disney has missed the boat a little bit and could do a little more, especially in park with those unique experiences. Yeah,
Nick says that's why a lot of people switch to Universal, and Nick and Hawk both have a point. Yes, there is the pass holder lounge they're doing currently in the summer. That is at Epcot down in the Morocco Pavilion, but that's only for the summer, and so that is something to look at year round. But moving on. All right, so Matt, where are you taking us next?
So I figure from here we're entering the World Showcase, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
We can, or we can jump onto the other side of Future World. So it's entirely up
Well,
to
let's
you.
just go all the way around the park. We'll start hitting some World Showcase stuff, and I guess we'll head on over to I guess we'll go to Canada this time.
Mm-hmm.
I know Mexico's the preferred way to go, but
All right, Hawk, start us off.
Okay, so Canada is going to move to America because it's going to be the 51st state, and then I would
We let him talk.
Why do we? I don't know.
I won't be here next week, guys. You get a break. So the Canada, I think, needs some definite updates. That land is not as accessible to me as I wish it was. Like, I think they need to change the way you enter the land. I understand the reasons. I get it, but it doesn't feel as welcoming. It's very easy to walk straight past Canada and not do a darn thing there. And I think they need to make that a more welcoming area, because that area in the back is one of the most beautiful areas in Epcot. It really, truly is. If you get back by the waterfall and be able to walk back there and experience it's a gorgeous, gorgeous area. But I'd say 75% of people that go to Epcot don't even walk back there.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably more than that.
I grew up going to Disney, and my mother worked at Magic Kingdom the first summer it was open in 71. It became a huge argument in our family just within the last 7 or 8 years. She did not believe there was a waterfall back there, and we had to convince her that there was a waterfall, and we had to take a picture and send it to her and go, see, we found the waterfall. It's really here. She didn't even know it was back there. And she's been at Disney since before Epcot even existed. But yeah, nobody goes back there.
I mean, yeah, in all reality, I think Mexico, America, and Canada should all be against each other too. In all honesty,
The World Cup. There you go.
let's make
Geographic.
let's make the borders geographically correct.
Yep. Nick says, I love it back there. I haven't been back there in years. He said, thanks for reminding. And it is pretty back there.
That's
And so,
what happens.
yeah.
It's
So
epic
here's my
stuff,
idea for, you talk about that, and here's my idea for that. And this actually applies to all of World Showcase. So this was my, I didn't know when we were going to crack this one out, but this is my great big one that is probably the most impractical, but nevertheless, I'm going to pull it out. So from Disneyland, I am taking the People Mover, not the People Mover from Magic Kingdom. I'm taking the old school, original Walt Disney People Mover, and I'm putting it around World Showcase, all the way around. And so you go through on the People Mover, it's kind of like its own little train, and you go around World Showcase with the narration talking about all the countries, and you can see elements and bits of those pavilions that maybe you don't see. People don't go to the back of the Morocco Pavilion. They don't go to the back of the Canada Pavilion. They don't go to a lot of these places. So
I should go right through them.
that's my point. You go
right into the buildings.
That's my point. You go right in. As I said, this is very impractical, but you do that such that it becomes quite literally a grand circle tour or a grand tour of Epcot and of the pavilions in Epcot. There, yes, you got to figure out how to get over the water there by the International Gateway, but it's a bridge. You can figure it out.
Chuck, we already have a grand tour. It's the Grand Fiesta Tour, and that's over in Mexico. And
Well,
we're
you
not
could
touching
go
that.
see that as well. But so
Hey,
this is
Hey, if that's your big one, I might as well throw mine out there. I'm doing an orange bird coaster in the middle of the lagoon, so let's go crazy.
well, but that doesn't exist. It has to exist. What exists?
It exists in my figment of imagination, which does exist in Epcot. So I'm off the hook. So I'm putting an orange bird coaster in the
Here we
middle
go.
of the lagoon.
Well, orange birds exist, so I'm with Hawk on this one.
Okay.
Yep.
And you fussed at me for making stuff up. I mean, just for
Giant
bringing
bull-
stuff back.
double looper, big Mickey ears. Like
There we go.
We're going crazy.
All right, Megan, what are you doing in either the Canada Pavilion or if you're doing something bigger, more global to World Showcase?
I have no global anything for World Showcase. I have bits and pieces. I didn't touch Canada. I guess I hate to head in the direction that Hawk goes in here, but I feel like Canada is one of those, I just kind of overlook it. Maybe kind of like people
It's a
overlook the
forgotten
country, and the
country.
people, it's just they're nice. It's nice. It's fine. Quiet.
It's a forgotten country.
It is
too
a forgotten
bad
country in
because
some respects.
It really that area really is beautiful. And if you've not gone back there, trust me, just do it once, and then you'll forget about it for 10 years till a show like this reminds you about it, and then you go back and look again and refresh your memory. But it's one of the most photo-based spot. It's a beautiful picture in the back, a great shot with your family. And I mean, I think they need to, in all the pavilions with the theaters and the films, they need to update. We've got technology. We've got these amazing screens now. Like we talked about this the other day, that could you imagine the equivalent of a Vegas Sphere doing some of these educational movies about countries, in a full 360 experience where you're actually seeing it, never mind soaring, you're engulfed in it. That would be incredible, because you have the ability to teach so much, but people don't want to sit through that boring 1970s style movie.
Well, but they're not sitting; they're standing, and that's part of the problem.
But even still, it's dated technology. It
Mm-hmm.
feels old. It's not comfortable. I understand budget is a concern for Disney. I get that 100%. But at some point, you've got to elevate your game and fix some of your infrastructure, so to speak. And that's some of the things that people don't always go to. Give them a reason to go to that. Get people back in some of those corners, and your lines come down a little bit. You need to spread the people out again. Right now, you can look at a park and see the 4 places people are at.
Yep.
And Magic
Mark
Kingdom-
says. Mark
Go
says,
ahead.
"But I say we bring back an advanced illuminations that ties the countries of World Showcase together." And Mark, you went where I was gonna go. Yes, I'm also bringing back illuminations, and I agree with you, an updated version, but absolutely bring
Launch
back
right out of the orange
illuminations.
bird coaster. It's going to be amazing.
Orange bird coaster. Alrighty. Let's just kind of, we'll take, because, we'll just kind of take all of World Showcase kind of in one thing. Is there anything else that you guys are doing to World Showcase kind of as a whole?
I want my Maelstrom back.
Yep, I was with you too, and
First
then we
thing,
talked
because
about
I
that
just
back on the
wanted
Magic
to
Kingdom
also
show.
They're not there anymore. I want
Maelstrom's
Maelstrom
back.
and I want in the UK Pavilion. They used to have the World Showcase players, and they came out and they did a skit about King Arthur, and they brought in guests to play characters. They were so much fun.
They were
I mean,
hilarious.
I think my theme for all of Epcot is just more cast members, because you had more cast members. And again, to Hawk's point, we understand budget, we understand hiring, we finding the right people and all the things. But if I were going to do anything, you need more cast members in Epcot, because you need some more of that interaction, and you need some more things that are a little bit, I don't know if guided is the right word, but definitely kind of moderated and watched and whatnot. So I want more cast members.
Yeah, Mark Jones says a Mount Fuji coaster on a Germany ride. Now, technically, the original premise was that we were only bringing things that existed either past or currently, but Hawk is.
So, Mark, we got the Orange Bird coaster already, so we don't need Mount Fuji. But the Germany ride, I think we bring a draft beer version of Splash Mountain. I think this could be a thing. I think we ride a giant beer stein and come down a mountain of flowing draft beer. I think this is Oktoberfest at its highest. These are. Oh, it existed in my figment of imagination.
Yeah, they said they were supposed to exist. That's right. Well, speaking of skunky things, there, and
I don't drink.
Yeah, well, you will be after that track,
but I don't.
Yeah, and Nick says, and now we know what's really in Hawk's mug. So, and Mark Jones says, yes, they once existed on paper, and they did. There was a Rhine River attraction and a Mount Fuji attraction were both in Blue Sky for that. So, anything else for World Showcase before we kind of make our way back over to Tomorrowland?
I got a few things.
All right.
So, over in Canada, I'm getting rid of that 360 video. And I'm bringing back something. This is where my stretch comes in a little bit. So when you think Canada, you think of the woods and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I went hockey, but okay.
Well, I smell wood. I just think I don't know. That's where my brain was going with this one, because I'm bringing back Dinosaur. It was set in the woods. You're gonna retheme it. Work over here.
Boy, that is a stretch.
Okay, you want people to go back and see more of Canada?
In Canada.
In Canada. You're going to go through the snowy woods and stuff like that.
I could see him putting that in the land pavilion.
Revamp it a little bit.
Chuck, you know what they call the coin, the dollar coin that used to exist in Canada, right?
Go ahead.
The loonie.
Uh-huh. Here we go.
And I think we are getting there in Canada.
Well, this show is getting loony. I'll just put it that way. Mark, speaking of loony,
I was full blown.
Speaking of loony, Mark Jones says, "Could you imagine all the people sticking their heads out of the Germany beer splash boats, trying to gulp as much beer as they could in the big drop?" Yes, exactly.
I was jesting with that, but seriously, could you imagine if that ride existed? You think drinking around the world is a problem now? They would end in Germany.
Yeah, so Disney, let's. We're not going to.
Make it to be a mountain? Did you make it to be a mountain?
All righty. So with that, I think we've got to get out of World Showcase because clearly we're getting. In trouble
I got two
here.
more on this one, Chuck.
Oh, you got two more. Go real quick.
Boy.
So this one makes sense. You take Aladdin's magic carpets, you put it in Morocco.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I agree with that.
To me, this seems out of place over in Magic Kingdom. It's just kind of in the middle there, just for show.
Great idea.
Put it in Morocco. Put something over there. And
Yeah, that's a
then
good
UK,
idea.
I'm bringing back Mary Poppins on a more full-time basis. I know it's just kind of rare over there. I think they do Alice in Wonderland, but...
You're talking about meet and greet.
Correct. And I'm putting, like Megan had said, more cast members. I'm putting a little show over there with the chimney sweeps and doing stepping time.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
I think that would be interesting. Or you could also have Admiral Boom every hour.
That would be
shooting off
fun.
a cannon. I think that would be
So,
interesting.
well, it's
That's
funny
the
you bring it.
Orangeburg coaster.
Yeah, really, at the Orangeburg coaster. You bring that up, but I wasn't going to throw it out because it didn't ever actually exist, but it did on paper and it was announced that there was going to be a Mary Poppins attraction in the UK, and of course it got killed by COVID.
So-
that was something I would love to see come, but again, I didn't put it on the list because it never actually existed.
So here's
I tried to play by the rules.
question. If you could add, and we can go around and everybody throw one out, but if you could add a meet and greet to each country right now, who would it be and why? Like, what would you do?
Ooh, well, this is sort of Disney and not Disney, but I think it would be very popular. This is a stretch. But in the UK Pavilion, you do a Doctor Who meet and greet with a phone booth, with a police booth.
With the TARDIS.
With the TARDIS.
Yeah, not being Disney, I think that's a tough stretch.
Well, it was Disney, and that's the thing. It was, and it's not anymore, but, so. But it would still be a very popular meet and greet.
I want a Miguel and Coco meet and greets put over at the at the Mexico Pavilion.
Okay. Give me one, Matt. What would you do?
I'm gonna bring. I know he's kind of rare right now, but I think I would bring Genie over to Morocco as well, and have a
Okay.
meet and greet over there because I feel like Morocco's another one of those pavilions you just kind of walk by, and I think that would bring a lot more attention to it along with the ride.
So here's a quick question for you: would you do classic blue genie, or would you do the Aladdin Broadway genie?
Oh no, it's classic blue. It's the one that
Classic.
comes out
Okay.
every once in a while. You gotta have that
I
one.
think they need to bring Baymax back to Epcot. So I think
Ooh, I
that
like
would be
that.
one. And then,
Nick
you
says
know,
Pinocchio characters at Italy. That'd be a good idea.
Mulan would be a good one.
Hmm.
Um,
Mulan's a one every once in a while, but
yeah, yeah. I
it's
mean,
rare. But it's
well, that's what I mean. Like more like a standard meet and greet that's
mhm.
available on the daily.
Mark
Um,
Jones agrees. He says Baymax would be my vote too.
yeah,
I'd like to see more of the Winnie the Pooh characters over at the UK Pavilion. I know they've got Christopher Robin's bedroom and Pooh meets back there and maybe somebody else, but I'd like to see like the full grouping
Yeah.
of the cast over there.
the Crystal Palace cast.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on back out of World Showcase and let's head over to. I guess we're heading over to
Test track
the
area.
test track area now. So, Matt, what are you doing with test track?
So Test Track, I think I left Test Track alone, but I switched out Tron. I swapped Guardians with Tron when we did the Magic Kingdom episode, and I moved Mission Space over to Magic Kingdom to the old Stitch building. So now what I'm going to do is I'm bringing back Stitch with a different ride with a different concept, and I'm changing the Space 220 restaurant. Not so much. I'm not really changing it. I'm giving a plus, and I'm kind of making it more or less when you first watch Lilo and Stitch at the beginning, where they're on the spaceship and everything, and Stitch actually escapes. So you'd have Stitch's Great Escape, the ride, and then you go over to Space 220, and you almost feel like you're in the spacecraft at the beginning of the movie when Stitch is trying to escape, and you can kind of get like more of a. To me, it would just bring more of a interactive feel or something to actually get people to go in there, because I know the price tag can be hefty, and I feel like it's not. I could be wrong. I've never looked at it enough, but just based on hearsay,
Well, as
I don't
long
know
as
if
it's still a
really
prefix
kid
menu, yeah, it's
friendly,
expensive.
So I figured you could pull in more families than just more adults. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I was doing, was bringing back Stitch and giving Space 220 a plus up. And then,
Mark
like I
Jones
mentioned
says
before,
veggie fruit needs to reverberate in Epcot again. Huh? Not sure about that one, Mark, but I appreciate you kind of going old school there. So, all right, Hawk, what would you do over to the test track area?
I'm updating Test Track with technology, like even more so than current, but going back to the original format. I'm going to do a different ride vehicle, one that's got the ability to go a little faster. I want the peak speed around the outside to hit 100. I want to go 100 miles an hour at Disney. Like I want a real ride. So Test Track themed out to 1.0, but like 10.0 or 100.0. I want to see that sign at the end when I want to get triple digits and feel like a real race car driver. But I really want to just add some adventure. I think the one thing Disney gets like to hear, but they can go higher. They can go more. And I wish on some of the rides, not all, but I wish on some of the rides they would push that envelope a little bit and push the brink of the edge. They just don't like to cross that. They're so family based that they're like, oh, no, we can't go that far. But there's so many Disney fans that would take it to the next level and just be thrilled to be able to just do that ride that has more edge than anything else at Disney. And I would really like to see them start to push that envelope. So I would revamp Test Track to a much more modern, faster, more adventurous experience, but based around the first concept. I would take Space 220 and give it a half off sale, redo the menu. It's a great concept and a great place, and I think it still fits with Mission Space, but that would also get way updated to me. Just in the years that that's been open, screens have gotten a million times better. They need to redo those screens. I mean, we went to Epic Universe this weekend. They've got those rides. It's like a 10, 12, or 14K screen. I mean, I don't even remember what the actual number is, but the screens in those new rides at Epic are insane. And they need to do the same at Disney. Again, the Sphere has one of the most technological setups in the world. Could you imagine if they use that type of setup at the top of Spaceship Earth? If they use that kind of setup at, in the Space 220 restaurant, where you literally sat and felt like you were actually in space, not looking out windows.
It's in 16K.
Yeah, they're 16K screens.
I've been to the Sphere. It's in 16K.
Okay.
There's something like 3,000 or 4,000 projectors, and 20,000 speakers.
Yeah, I mean,
it's any video that you see of the Sphere does not do it justice at all. It is so incredible, and I love that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to build one in DC. I think Disney needs to do something that is just that kind of wow factor. And wherever they choose to put it, they need to just make this insane. That 5D experience that the Sphere offers for seeing like the Wizard of Oz. Could you imagine watching a Disney movie at Disney in 5D? You could do that at Springs. You could put a theater like that in at Springs. Like, that would be insane. Those are things I think Disney needs to level up a little bit and just get caught up, instead of stealing other ideas from other parks that already exist. And like, they need to do some original stuff. So I'd try to just update things. I
agree. The Sphere is incredibly expensive. I mean, it costs hundreds of millions of dollars to build, but I'm with you. I mean, it was incredible. Again, guys, you can't comprehend what it's like until you get there. There's not a camera created that can capture the Sphere the way it is. Nick says, we'll see what the new big shots do, and again, it kind of depends on time and technology and money. Couple of things, Megan. So what were you going to do, kind of on that whole end? Because everybody's kind of doing that whole, Future World East side.
So I took out Guardians. I sent it over, I think, to Hollywood Studios.
I think you sent it to Tomorrowland. I think we all sent it to Tomorrowland.
Yeah. So I ditched it there. So I've got to fill in that building. I'm going to do a little bit of what Hawk talked about. I want to see more from the ride at Test Track. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out that pre-show where you build your own car. Forget that. Turn Test Track into a ride. Make it an attraction, like you go and you ride the thing. Take all the cars that you walk past. I haven't ridden the new one, so I don't know how.
It's just a pre-show now. You don't build anything anymore.
Well,
yep.
I would take, I guess, the old pre-show, the build car. I still think that's valuable. Again, like leaning back into that education and that information. And I would build out in where Guardians is now, an entire place where people do build out a car and really find out how it would work. And you can learn more about how cars are built and how the aerodynamics work and how all of the, the green efforts are working in all of this. There's so many different types of gasoline and different energy fuels at this point. And I don't think a lot of people understand them, and we're not interested, and that's fine. But it's a huge part of the world we live in, and it'd be great to have a little bit of education there. I don't think that would hurt, and something interactive there. But I would definitely blow out the ride of Test Track and make it a little bit bigger. And then I love all those cars that you walk past, but I'd get them out of that building. Again, attraction, just your basic ride attraction over there, and then kind of the more build out and personal interactive over where we currently have Guardians.
Yeah, I did quite a bit. So this goes back to, again, show, I think 108 I said, is when we did the the reorganizing the Magic Kingdom, and a lot of this comes into that. Where I also had Guardians going to Tomorrowland, Mission Space going to Tomorrowland, Space 220 going to Tomorrowland, since the theme here. I'm also just in my out list. Frozen Ever After, by the way, speaking of World Showcase, that went to the Magic Kingdom. We already talked about that. And I'm just eliminating the Wonders of Life Pavilion. It's gone. So what am I doing? I'm doing a couple of things that are going to be a little bit different. I'm bringing Tron in to the Guardian space, and I'm going to make it longer. And I think that this creates more opportunities for some more Tron interactive experiences with the grid and with the concept of digital technology and AI. And I don't have anything more detailed than that, but I think it's a great tie-in to tie in Tron to something dealing with AI and getting into that education bit. The other thing that I'm doing from Tomorrowland, I'm bringing into the Mission Space spot, because remember, Mission Space is now gone. I'm bringing the Tomorrowland Speedway. I am going to do it more like Utopia, and if you've seen Utopia at Disneyland, I think it's a much better version of that. So now you have Test Track, and I like Hawk's idea of doing Test Track 4.0. I think it's desperately needed. 3.0, I think, it needs some. It needs some. It's underwhelming. It is. Personally, I like the idea of the 1.0 because it was much more what Test Track was originally designed for. But then, so create a kids version of Test Track, and that way you can do that. In fact, have the two interact and literally weave in and among each other. You got plenty of room over there to do that.
Drive, shorty.
That's right. And then I'm going to do, this is my really kind of, way out there. So remember, I got rid of Wonders of Life. It's gone. But I'm going to put something in that spot. I'm going to go old school, really, really old school. I am bringing back Horizons. Horizons is coming, an updated version, but I'm bringing back Horizons because, this is Carousel of Progress 2.0. This is the continuation of that story. And so, Hawk, see, he loves that. He can't wait to ride Horizons. But I am bringing Horizons back. And the other piece that I put in there, I had said People Mover around World Showcase. I had originally said around Future World. So you never know. We could do both. But I do. If I was going to pick the two, I actually like it around World Showcase better than I like around Future World, because you already have the monorail that goes around Future
Anything where people can be lazy, they love that ride now.
There you go.
Like you could just put a moving walkway around the entire park, and most people would just stand on it.
There you go. All right, Hawk. What else? What are you doing to that whole eastern side?
As far as in addition to what I'm wiping out.
Oh, you already went. That's right.
Yeah.
I think everybody's gone here. So, we have reimagined Epcot. There was a whole lot going on.
We skipped one major.
Oh, we talked about Spaceship Earth, but
yeah.
Well, you did talk about Spaceship Earth though already. You said you were going to make the sphere Spaceship Earth as a sphere.
I would make it like a sphere, but I'll be honest, I'd take the whole ride out and I'd make it more like a sphere. I don't need to thank the Phoenicians anymore. I've heard about it since 1983. Like I am good with that. I would modernize that and make that something else entirely.
That could be cool. The sphere inside the Spaceship Earth, the sphere. That actually could be really cool.
And then that's where you have your concerts every year, and you don't have to worry about rain. And I know they're undercover for a little bit of seating, but you get more seating now. You get this amazing experience. You bring in bigger bands because they'll want to play there now. You don't have to see Rick Springfield at 72 years old singing Jesse's Girl in the rain. I just, man.
Yeah, Mark says the Phoenicians are going to be angry, so
they'll get over it.
They'll get over it. Hey, so Megan and Matt, have you got any changes you're making to Spaceship Earth?
No, I'd stay the way it is.
I'd love to see it updated, but I don't want to lose it. I love space. That's one of just at this point it just feels campy to me almost. The technology at the end is so horrific. It just I love it. It's one of those
It's Epcot's current version of Carousel of Progress. It's 20 minutes to sit back and take a nap. That's what it is. And
find all the hidden Mickeys that are there. 4, 5, something like that. Hidden Mickeys are there. Hey, we also want to bring up here, we talked last week about our question of the week, and we asked you, what summer event or attraction are you most looking forward to? And you said Soaring Across America and Rock and Roller Coaster of the Muppets at 42% each. Those were the two major attractions and refurbs that are opening up this summer that you're looking forward to. And so, with that, we're thinking about our question of the week for this week. And actually, while we were talking about this, I think you guys all hit on maybe a better question of the week than the one we had originally planned for. And so that is, which meet and greet would you add to Epcot? You talked about a lot of great ones, including Baymax in Japan, Doctor Who with the TARDIS in the UK, Mulan in China, Mary Poppins in the UK, and Classic Genie in Morocco. Any others you want to add to the list here?
Pooh and the Crew in UK was Megan's.
Yep.
Pooh and etc. in...
And then don't forget our lovely folks in Mexico.
Coco. Yep.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, so we'll add that. And so go out to the Mousecast 2025 Facebook page and find this week's poll, and we will put that up, and you can tell us what you think. And we'll see next week which meet and greet is the most popular to add or make more consistent in Epcot. So we want to say a huge thank you to everybody who joined us. Mark Jones joined us. Rick joined us. Let's see here. Who else was with us as well? Mark Sonnenberg was with us as well. So thanks so much for joining us here on Mousecast. And remember, we do this live every Tuesday night right here on Mousecast, on our Facebook page, Mousecast 2025, on YouTube at Mousecast. Coming up next week, hey guys, 4th Tuesday of the month. You know what that means. It's game night. We're coming up on game night. So I will come up with some evilly delicious game that is impossible for everybody to determine the right answer so that our folks at home can enjoy all the fun with this as well. Mark says Bob and Doug McKenzie in Canada. That would be some great meet and greets. And Nick says it's Nick and not Rick. I'm sorry if I was saying Rick.
Ranger
I'm sorry,
Nick.
it's Nick.
He's a huge Rangers fan.
Yeah,
He
Nick.
lives in New York.
Nick. Yep. So Nick. My apologies, Nick. So want to say thank you so much for joining us again. This is Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. And so until next time, we'll see you.
Thank you for listening to Mousecast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show. And joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time. Now it's